If food is constantly on your mind, even when you're not hungry, you're not broken. You're just likely stuck in the all or nothing start over every Monday cycle that so many women over 40 are trapped in. That's exactly why I created the Food Noise Fix, a free guide and tracker to help you quiet the obsessive food thoughts and start feeling normal around food again. This isn't a meal plan or a new diet. It's a realistic starting point for women who are tired of tracking every single bite but still want results. If you want to stop obsessing, stop spiraling, and still move toward your goals, grab the Food Noise Fix. The link is in the show notes. Well, hey there. Welcome to the Lean and Strong and Perimenopause podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Witten, and I'm so pumped that you're here today. Today, we are talking about something I've been wanting to talk about for a while now, and that is why I don't do the keto diet anymore. This has been a long time coming. Well, really not a long time, maybe about 6 months, but I'm both very excited about this conversation and I'm dreading it maybe just a little bit. The reason why I'm dreading it just a little bit is because that not only did I, fun fact, do keto for about 3 years, but for a short amount of time, it was actually my niche. I was teaching other women how to do things like transition to a low carb lifestyle and also how to do the keto diet. So this was something I did for about 2 years. And since then, I have slowly kind of pivoted out of that. And there is a lot of pros and cons. So we're going to be talking all about that today. But I just want to come on here and finally come public with this. A lot of times I kind of think back and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, it's almost embarrassing to admit that I no longer teach something and do something that I used to preach. But also in hindsight, like, I'm hoping I'm maturing because now, like, I can be embarrassed by this, but I can also use it to show people, like, we're always evolving and we're always learning and we're always growing. And the very reason why I'm here today talking about things like moderation and mindful eating is because of all the experiences I've had. And I'm just like a lot of women out there who have done the chronic dieting, who has done all of the different diets, who's done the intermittent fasting, all of those things. So in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to talk about this because it's kind of embarrassing that like I eat completely different now than I was. I had to change all of my programming inside of my coaching programs, all of the content, but at the same time, I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I didn't go through that experience. And the other reasons why I want to have this conversation is because I think a lot of you all can relate. I'm 44, and if you're around my age, a lot of us had a lot of dieting history. We went through the whole low fat movement. We went through the Atkins diet, right? We went through the South Beach diet. We went through phases of super skinny being cool and all of those things. So I think a lot of you all can relate. I hear from women all the time. I get messages, Courtney, like, I've tried everything to lose weight. Should I be doing the keto diet? What do you think? So I definitely want to have this conversation because there is a big relationship between this belief that you have to eat low carb to lose weight. And that's just actually not true at all. And I'm really excited to dive in this conversation because I am eating way differently than I was even just 6 months ago. So I really want to come on here and just be completely transparent and have this conversation with you. And I invite you all to get involved in this conversation. Please follow me on Instagram if you're not on there. I would love to hear from you. I would love to interact with you on Instagram. I love meeting and chatting with people. But that is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation is because I think a lot of you all can relate. Also, just a little disclaimer, this is not about bashing keto. That is not what this is about. There is actually some great things about keto, and I'm not going to promise I'm never going to do keto again. But also, I just want to come on here because the reason why I stopped doing it is because it wasn't sustainable for me personally. So I just want to come on here and be completely transparent with you and explain why, for me personally, and probably a lot of other women might feel the same, is that it's just not a great long-term solution. And I really just want to educate you all. And really just the fact that, yeah, there is some cons to the keto diet. Yes, it can backfire. Yes, it can lead to some binge eating tendencies, out of control cravings, things like that. It absolutely can for some people. So I just wanted to come on here and have a little bit of education around the risks of the keto diet and how it can backfire. And then finally, I just want to relate with you all because I think, again, I think a lot of us can relate to trying this diet and that diet. And I just want to be completely honest about my whole journey with keto, what was great about it, what wasn't, and what I discovered along the way. Because I'm hoping by sharing with you guys my not only like goals and also wins, but also like what are the things that I did along the journey that really held me back from getting the results that I want? Because I hope by sharing this with you, you can save a little bit of time instead of like having to go through all of the bullshit I had to. And it's like, okay, I was really actually making that more difficult than it needed to be. You know, a lot of times when you kind of like relax into things and kind of let things go a little bit more, it's funny how much like you can actually see great results just from like, you know, lessening that grip a little bit, not holding on so tightly. So I'm really pumped to have this conversation. But before we do, I just want to do a little update because it's been a while since I've been on here. It is summertime, and although we don't really have any vacations planned, we're just being really frugal this year. We have some big plans in the near future that we will talk about at another time. But we're just kind of just chilling. We are working our lives away and, of course, having some fun as well. But I just want to say that I'm really excited to hopefully in the fall, I will get back to a more consistent podcast schedule. It's just been a little bit crazy because now my husband works from home. This is actually his office. As you can see, if you guys are watching this on video, I don't even know. How come I can't think of this? Not the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Damn it. Why can't I think of it? I cannot think of the freaking movie that has the Venus flytrap. Oh my gosh. My husband is going to divorce me if I don't remember the name of this. But for some reason, I cannot think of that musical. I guess it's a musical or a movie. I've seen it a lot because it's like my husband's favorite movie. But anyway, I have the Venus flytrap behind me. That's literally it. It's like in a Maxwell coffee can and it like dances and sings. He also has a Billy Bass. Do you guys remember the Billy Bass, like the talking fish, like the singing fish, I guess? It was actually back here. And when I was setting up for the podcast, it just went off. Like, I think he put it like on some kind of sensor to where when you walk by it, it goes off and it scared the shit out of me. I can't oh, he was singing Don't Worry, Be Happy. That's right. I love that song. Isn't that such a great song? But anyway, if you guys know the movie, I know the damn movie name with the Venus flytrap, and let's see, it is how come I can't think today? Steve Martin. Steve Martin is the dentist. And then Rick Moranis. I don't know the name of that movie. But anyway, it'll come to me. And if you guys know, message me on Instagram. But yes, I'm in my husband's office. This beanbag chair is actually for my dogs. They're so fucking spoiled because they sit back here all day now. They're so happy that they don't have to be kenneled hardly at all during the day. But it's been a little bit crazy, but I am excited. I'm hoping in the fall things will kind of even out. And I'm hoping to get back to doing at least 2 podcasts in a month. But I really hope you guys are having a great summer. And I would love to hear your summer plans. Let me know. Message me on Instagram. But another thing I've been doing is some gardening. I love growing flowers. I'm pretty new at growing flowers. I just grew a whole bunch of zinnias. I have some sunflowers as well. But one of these days I might, I don't know, have a flower farm. So I absolutely love it. My zinnias are doing really well. It's super hot here in Northwest Arkansas, and they are just loving the heat. And we are going to have like days and days of hot weather. So I'm really excited. They are like so tall. They're probably like, I don't know if they're probably like 4 feet something. They're pretty tall, but I'm getting blooms every single day now that I've been cutting them for bouquets. But I just adore gardening and flowers. They just make me so happy. So it's been a great summer so far, and I hope you guys are having a great summer too. But we're going to go ahead and dive in to our episode today. Thanks so much for being here. And really what I want to talk about is why I got started with keto in the first place. So a long time ago, I actually was like super anti-keto. Like this was back in like 2017. I didn't really know anything about the keto diet. And at the time I had a personal training client who had started the diet and I didn't know anything about it. So she had to educate me on it. So at first I was just like, this is just crazy. Okay. Like this is insane. And then I actually was kind of playing around with it because it got like really trendy and I'm like, let's see here. And I did it and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't realize you're supposed to, increase your dietary fat whenever you take the carbs away. I wasn't replacing that. So I actually had a terrible experience the very first time I tried it for a few days and I was like, F this, I am not doing this ever again. But then I kind of got into the season of turning 40. And at the time, let's see, I had and it was really around 2021 when intermittent fasting really got popular. I was starting to experiment with that a little bit. And then I was listening to a lot of podcasts and keto was really big back then. So the more I kept learning about it and its benefits, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try it. And this was around my 40th birthday. This is when I was starting to do the intermittent fasting. I was dropping my carbs a little bit more. I started figuring out, I need to add some more dietary fat. So once I figured all of that out, I was like, you know what? I actually like this. Like, I actually feel pretty good. Like, it's really weird. I can't really explain how you feel when your body is making ketones. It's almost like a high. Like it's so weird. Like I can't even really explain it, but it almost made me feel high. Like I had a lot of energy. I don't know. I don't even understand how to explain it to you. But again, going back to what I was saying, the whole reason why I got into it was I tried it and I was like, I actually like the way I feel. And then I started, once I turned 40, I was really concerned. I thought like as soon as I was going to turn 40, I was just going to gain a whole bunch of weight. Like I thought that was like what it was going to be like. Like, okay, you're 40 now. Like we're just going to go ahead and start packing it on. That didn't happen. But I felt like at that point in my life, I was actually pretty lean back then. Like I'll look at pictures. I'm like, damn, I was actually really lean. But I was getting really frustrated because I couldn't lose like the last 5 pounds or the last 10 pounds, right? And it's like, I was already freaking lean. I didn't really have anything to lose. And I was tracking my calories at the time and I was actually eating pretty low calorie. Like it was not anything like it is today. It was very low. I would say I was probably averaging around like 1,500 calories a day, something like that, which that's pretty low. And I was like, I just can't lose any more weight. Not that I had anything to lose, but I was like getting really increasingly frustrated that the fact that I just couldn't lose those last 5-10 pounds. So that's when I started, I was like, maybe I do need to do keto. Maybe I need to do something a little bit more aggressive. So I started the intermittent fasting. I started dropping my carbs even more. So I went from like low carb to more keto. And I was increasing my fat. And then while I was doing this, I was looking at my calories and I started kind of feeling like, you know what, like, I think this is going to work. And you know what? It actually did. I got a little bit leaner. I actually lost the last 5 pounds. And here's the reason why. There's nothing really magical about keto. It's still the reason why I lost weight was because I was in a deeper calorie deficit. Because here's the thing about keto. Whenever you take carbs out, it's like a hunger management tool. And this is especially true if you do it right. Like you're probably not going to have the hunger management dialed in if you are not eating enough dietary fat. So that was something that I realized that, okay, in order for this to work, I do need to make sure that I'm eating a shit ton of fat, like dietary fat. So that was how I lost the last 5 pounds. And this was really helpful for me because at the time, yeah, I was lean, but I had my 2022 wedding that I wanted to be super lean for. So that was kind of the whole gist of it. I turned 40 and it started working for me because it really satisfied my hunger. I was getting very full of a small amount of food. And I was eating just 2 times a day, sometimes 3, but it was actually more around 2 meals a day. So yeah, I lost the last 5 pounds. I was super lean for my 2022 wedding. But again, it wasn't because I was eating keto. It was because my hunger was managed to where it was easier for me to eat in a calorie deficit. Okay. So that's exactly what it did. So I felt like it was easier to lose weight. I felt like I had zero issues with like cravings and things like that because it just seemed to quiet food noise. Like it just seemed to like my cravings weren't there. I just felt super satiated. So I'm probably making this sound like a really good idea, but just stay with me. And I'm not saying that, keto's bad or don't do keto. At the time, like, again, I don't have any regrets at all about it. But I just want to share, like, there was some pros to it. And that was really the biggest pros was that I didn't have any cravings. I felt really full really fast off a small amount of food. And I lost the last 5 pounds I was trying to lose forever. But for me, it just wasn't sustainable. Now I want to go over the cons. Okay. This is why I decided not to go in this direction anymore. And I have a couple of them. So the first reason is going out. So I absolutely hated doing things like going to barbecues or going out to eat. Honestly, like I don't dislike zucchini noodles, but damn it, I just want some fucking pasta, right? Like so I really hated especially going out to social situations and also to things like restaurants where substitutions can be super expensive. I just really got sick of doing that. The other thing I didn't like about it was that it made me a little obsessive with food. As you guys probably know, if you've been following me for a while or been listening to the podcast, you guys probably know I do have a disordered past with both exercise and eating. And this just didn't really help at all. I would obsess over things like I would check my ketones and make sure that I'm still in ketosis. I was, playing Tetris with my macros. I'm like, oh shit, I can't have more than 30 grams of carbs a day. Like, that's really fucking hard, by the way. Like, even if you love keto foods like I did, like, I still like keto foods. Like, I love high fat foods. I love full fat dairy and bacon and all of those things. But man, I tell you what, like playing Tetris with your macros and trying to do 30 grams a day is just, it's so freaking hard. And you're very limited with your diet. Like you're eating like whole eggs, you're eating a lot of meat. You can have some like lower starch veggies, but even that was just like, I'm so effing tired of cauliflower rice. I like cauliflower rice, but I don't want to eat it as a staple. So I just found that it created a lot of food noise. So if you guys listened to the last episode, we talked all about food noise, how a lot of that is really just from things like chronic dieting and doing these different dietary approaches. This can cause a lot of noise. So basically a lot of obsessive thoughts, or it doesn't even have to be obsessive, really just like repeatable thoughts. Sometimes they're obsessive. But for me doing keto, it kind of got to this point where it's like, okay, like I'm always constantly doing math, like how long is my fasting window? And I got to check my ketones and I got to check my fitness pal and make sure that not only am I not going over on my calories, but my carbs as well. So do you guys kind of see the issue with like taking out an entire food group? It's going to create some obsessive thoughts. It's going to create more food noise. So I found that it was increasingly getting that way. And what was really sad was that I felt like I got to a point where I'm like, I'm scared to turn back at this point. Like, I'm seriously scared. So that was a big one for me because with my past, and it's just been so up and down. It's definitely been a journey, and the journey is not over. But at the same time, like, doing keto just did not help that. And honestly, I did not realize how much obsessive thoughts it was causing me until I went through Moderation 365. So Moderation 365 is my one-on-one coaching program that helps you eat the same on Saturday as you do on Monday, taking out all the highs and lows in your nutrition. So basically, getting over yo-yo dieting to where you're not always on the diet or completely spiraling out of control. So when I went through this certification so I could teach this to my own clients, there was a lot of work that I had to do. I had to do things like do questionnaires to see how food focused I was. So I was doing things like that and using all of these tools. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of fucked up when it comes to food. And I will say this, y'all, like, I'm being totally transparent here, but I'm glad that I have the awareness that, yeah, like, even today, like, I'm still a little messed up when it comes to food. I still have a ways to go, and I'm not going to be dishonest about that. But I also want you all to know that I don't think I'm alone here. I actually think that there is a lot of health coaches and trainers that are very disordered. So just something to kind of watch out for. But, that just shows that, nobody is immune to things like, food noise and disordered thoughts and things like that when it comes to food and everything else. So yeah, for me, it caused me to be too obsessive. And I'm so grateful that I went through Moderation 365 and now I have my own program teaching it, because that really helped me on my own journey of really figuring out, like, listen, like, this is disordered as fuck. Like, I need to work on my relationship with food and how I think about food. And that's really the message that I am really starting to talk about today. The other thing is that this is actually what made me switch. This is what really, like, it was the nail in the coffin for keto. So the last con I want to talk about is I actually found out by accident that I actually knew this, but there's been some back and forth. But anyway, we're going to back up 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I decided to start eating a little bit more, because here was the thing. The whole reason why I started doing keto was because I wanted to lose the last couple pounds, okay? Which was really fucking stupid, honestly, because I did not need to lose any more weight. But I was like, I want to be as lean as possible. But honestly, what I probably should have done was what I was avoiding. And that was, I was eating so low calorie for so long. Like, maybe 1,500 calories isn't like chronic dieting by any means, but it's not great for your metabolism or building muscle whenever you're living on 1,500 calories a day. And I'm talking about for an active person. So what I had to do was increase my calories intentionally and carefully to get my metabolic rate back up. Because what was happening was that I kept trying to lose the last 5 fucking pounds, but it was really just trashing my metabolism to where, yeah, I'm going to have to drop my calories more because I've been dieting for freaking years, right? So what happened was 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I was like, I'm going to try this maintenance bulking thing. So I started increasing my calories to maintenance. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. I did a slight surplus. And this entire time, I've been trying to do this on keto. Now, I have read the studies. There is some studies that show that carbs have a slight edge when it comes to building muscle. And then, but also, there is other people like bodybuilders who do keto that I follow. And I was like, hey, they're doing it. Why can't I do it too? So I did an entire bulk for a year and a half, almost 2 years on keto. And what happened was, it was more around, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, like the carbs kind of started creeping in around this time last year. But it was really when I went to Phoenix back in December. I was like, you know what? I'm going to relax a little bit this week. I'm doing a bulk anyway. Like, some extra calories and carbs isn't going to freaking hurt anything. So I was eating burgers with a bun. I was eating sandwiches, those types of things. I realized I was like, you know what? I kind of missed that, honestly. And I got home. I'm like, I still feel great. Like, I thought like I was going to gain a whole bunch of weight and like my appetite was going to be out of control. That's not what happened. I didn't gain any weight. I still haven't gained any weight. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start adding like 1 carb heavy meal a day. So I started doing that like every single day, which that was a big jump for me. I was still eating some carbs, but I definitely was not eating anything starchy, like hardly ever. So I was adding like 1 like carb heavy meal a day. And then I went to 2 carb heavy meals a day. Now it's 3. So throughout this whole process, I'm like, okay, my weight has not changed at all. Also, my hunger is not out of control like I thought it would be. I don't know if keto helped that or not. I have no idea. But I literally like, there's like no cons. Like, I just don't feel like there's really any cons to adding carbs back in. And what happened is that I started, just like I said, I went on vacation and carbs just started kind of creeping in. I started noticing that my glutes looked a little bit bigger. So that's what really like reinforced. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep adding carbs into my diet. So I started with the 1 meal a day that's carb rich, and then 2, and now 3. And yeah, it's slow, it's still slow, but it is faster. In my experience with my body, it's definitely been faster as far as building glutes. And I have not gained any weight. So what's great is that my weight staying the same, my waist measurement staying the same, but my glutes are getting bigger. And that is what I want. That is exactly what I want. So that is my story about keto. So really, yeah, like keto had some great pros, but also, again, like adding all these carbs back. So I'm not like super high carb. I think I have my carbs around like 30%. This has been the highest it's been since pre-keto. So that's, for me, that's what, like, I think that's around like 120, 130 grams of carbs a day, something around there. But yeah, like, in fact, it was actually kind of hard at first. And I'm not going to lie, I love keto. I love the foods. But again, for me, there's too many cons to it. And not to mention that for my body personally, like, there might be some people that can grow glutes on keto, but for me, I don't have the best genetics. I've always had a pancake butt, and I do not need anything else that is going to fight against my ability to put on muscle, because I want to look muscular. So that is really my story. Do I think that nobody should do keto? I don't think so. I think it's definitely a personal preference. I think if you want to do keto, that you need to do it for, the right reasons. I think that, yeah, you need to actually like the diet. You need to enjoy it. I think that's really a big thing. And that was why I was so successful with it, because I actually enjoyed the diet. I miss things, and that's exactly why I don't do it anymore, and why, for me personally, it wasn't sustainable. So now I want to just briefly touch on why I don't think is great for people in perimenopause. Now, do I think that nobody should do keto? I'm not going to say that, but I also feel like it's a very personal choice. And again, there is some pros to the diet. But I think for most women, that is just not going to be sustainable. And in fact, it can actually backfire. So for one, it is a very restrictive diet. So meaning this can cause binge eating tendencies in some people. I'm not saying everyone, but for some people, this could be absolutely a trigger. It can cause people to overconsume, because a lot of times if we feel too restricted, this kind of makes us have this like rebellion type, thoughts. Like, F this, like, I'm just going to go all out, right? So I feel like for most people, keto can be a very slippery slope. That's why I'm just not for it anymore, because I've seen it, and it's just not good. And for some people, it can cause that yo-yo diet effect where you're on the diet or off the diet. Also, from a muscle standpoint, I don't think is great. And here's the thing. I know a lot of you don't have the same goals as me. That's totally fine. I want to look jacked personally. But also, I want to argue here that past 40, it's more difficult to put on muscle mass. We're losing muscle mass every year, especially if we're not being proactive about it. If we're weight training and eating enough protein, eating enough calories, then yeah, we can probably prevent a lot of this muscle loss. But this is a natural thing that happens. A lot of us, we are not weight training. We're not doing it consistently. We might be under eating. Those types of things is going to cause a decrease in muscle mass. So that is another reason why I do feel like I would be more muscular if I didn't do the chronic dieting, and maybe if I added carbs in earlier. So I do think that is an issue. Now, I do think that calories are the most important thing, okay, when it comes to retaining muscle mass. it is going to be the most important thing over carbs. Calories that's going to be really important. Okay. But so is protein and so is carbs. Like all of these things are important. So the issue is that when you do a keto diet, yeah, generally most people are going to have the goal of weight loss, but it can go too far, right? Like if you're on the keto diet, is going to manage your appetite. So meaning you might not eat that much. So I kind of think of it as like a GLP-1, right? Like you see the people that are struggling, like they've lost a lot of weight and they keep losing weight and they don't really look good because they're losing muscle too at this point. But it's because the GLP-1 is making them feel satisfied. They have no desire to eat. So they're probably not eating enough calories and they're probably not eating enough protein as well. So I think about keto in the same light is that yeah, it can be great for fat loss, but when it comes to like long term, being able to retain your muscle mass as you lose weight, and maintaining your muscle mass just in general, I don't think it's optimal. So, although I used to recommend the keto diet for fat loss, I just don't anymore. Again, I'm not here to dog the diet. I'm not gonna like not work with someone. Like that's totally fine. You want to do keto? That's totally cool with me. But also, like, I just want to come on here and share the pros and cons. I want to share my experience and my expertise on this subject. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to calories, not carbs. You definitely do not need to go low carb or keto to lose weight. Can it be a tool to help you lose fat? Absolutely. Is it good for long term? I would say probably no. And I'm going to say that for most people, probably no. Just for those reasons, right? Because again, like keto just really made me under eat and I was under muscled because of that. So what do I do now? It's like, okay, what do we do now, Courtney? Let's talk about moderation and mindful eating first. I think this is something that a lot of people just kind of gloss over. This is something I teach inside of Moderation 365, which is my one-on-one coaching program. So moderation is really about finding the middle ground. So we're not eating diet food, but we're not going all out either. We're trying to find just some like moderate, middle of the road choices. I think that's so important. Also, mindful eating. So mindful eating is more around listening to your biofeedback markers. So really getting in tune with your hunger, your fullness cues. And not only that, like really like learning how to have a range. I know I've talked about on past episodes, like we talked about the Post-it strategy where you put Post-it notes all over your house, or you can just set an alarm on your phone. And all you're going to do is just check in with your hunger every 3 hours. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Thanksgiving stuffed, how full am I? So by doing this, you're going to be able to like do things like assess your last meal. Like, okay, if I'm hungry 2 hours later, then that might have not been a big enough meal. Maybe I didn't have enough protein. Maybe I didn't have any carbs or fats in there. So I use it as a tool to just assess my last meal, but also that tool is great for anticipating your next meal. So let's say I check in with my hunger and it's like a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm like, okay, I don't really need to eat now, but maybe in the next like hour or two, I need to start thinking about what I'm going to eat. So I think that's a really powerful tool. So many people do not understand their hunger and fullness cues. They don't pay attention to them. They'll wait until they're like a 1, like they're starving, and they'll just pick up the first freaking thing that they can get their hands on, right? So the problem with that is that you're not being mindful at all. You're just like grabbing the first thing. You're not being intentional with your choice. And then if you overconsume that food because you're so hungry, it's like this ping pong back and forth. It's like you let yourself get too hungry. You know, you don't have a plan, you don't have any food with you. And because you're so hungry, you're not making a great decision. So it just starts to become like starving and stuff. So whenever we think about our hunger and fullness on a scale, then we can be a lot more intentional with our choices. So that's what I know that's a little like, some people are like, oh, that doesn't work. Yeah, it fucking does. Here's the thing, guys. Like, nobody should be white knuckling their way to weight loss. Like, that does not work. What works is learning how to moderate and also learning how to pay attention to your hunger and fullness cues. Okay. Learning how to stop when you're at enough, right? Like, I cannot stress how much of it a useful tool that's been for me personally. Also macros. So macros, I highly recommend. I do think that you do need to master moderation and mindful eating first, because these are kind of like more like the foundation. I think a lot of people, if they skip over that, they're just going to have issues, and then they're going to see macro counting as depriving, and that's a mindset issue. So I do think that macros should come later, but macro counting, guys, like, it's not about carbs. It's more about your calories. Total calories matter, and it matters a lot. It's going to matter more than the quality of your diet. It's really going to determine what your body composition is. So macro counting is a great skill. I love it. It's a tool that can be super powerful to getting you to your goal faster. So whether you want to lose fat, whether you want to maintain your weight loss, or even build muscle, like even doing a bulk, I count my calories because I want to make sure that I'm eating enough, but I'm also not eating too much to where I'm just gaining a lot of fat. So I think that macro counting is hands down the best thing that you can do as far as using a tool for weight loss. That's something I actually teach inside of Lean Physique. So Lean Physique is my membership for women over 40 who want to lose fat and build muscle. And macro counting is one of the things that we do inside of Lean Physique. And finally, what I do now instead, I really just do nutrition that supports my strength and muscle building. So that's going to include carbs. It's definitely going to be enough protein, but now it's more about like, okay, like I don't need to be dieting all the time. I am thinking about doing a mini cut in September. I have not been dieting in like over 2 years, and I'm kind of dying to do a fat loss phase for a short amount of time, maybe like 8 weeks, just to lose like 5 to 8 pounds is my goal. But honestly, like guys, nobody should be dieting year round. Okay. Like that is literally the worst thing you can do for your metabolism. If you're losing weight and you're eating low calorie, and you know you're eating low calorie because you're tracking and you swear up and down that you're being accurate about it, that is a metabolism issue. Okay. That is fixable. The way that you fix it is not dieting all the time. Like, nobody needs to be walking around as lean as fucking possible all the time. I promise you that. Guys, like, I literally weigh 20 more pounds than I did at my wedding back in 2022. It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm fat. It doesn't mean anything. I'm still fairly lean and muscular. But guys, like, if we're always living in a diet and we're always restricting calories, like that is literally a recipe for binge eating and for a shitty metabolism that's not responsive. So that's what I mean by nutrition that supports muscle building and strength training, because it's one thing to eat like, you know, someone who just wants to be a skinny bitch, and someone who's like, you know what, I'm going to live to be a strong as fuck woman. Totally different things. And I decided I don't want to do this shit anymore. I don't want to have coffee for breakfast. I don't want to go to the gym fasted, which, oh God, I don't think I could do that anymore. Like, I don't know how in the fuck I was doing that. Like, I just can't. Like, I need at least food. I need something besides coffee for my workout. So I know for me, it was getting over that fear of weight gain. It was getting over that fear of bumping up my calories to support my training so I can actually build muscle. Like, this whole time, I thought I just had shitty genetics. It's like, actually, a lot of it was my nutrition. A lot of it was shit I did to myself. So not being afraid to eat adequate calories. And yeah, eating enough protein, but also, you know, I'm going to experiment with carbs. I'm going to see what works. And for me, it's been really eating them at every meal. It's been great, actually. It's been really great. And I've been feeling really good. I've been recovering fairly well. My sleep could be better, but, you know, as someone who gets up at 4 a.m. 5 days a week, it's always going to be a struggle as long as I'm doing that. But that's what I mean by nutrition that supports my muscle building, is eating the right amount of calories and making sure that I'm getting my macros right as well. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Again, I want you to be a part of this conversation. Seriously, like, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you follow me. I'm at cfitness.training. I will go ahead and put that into the show notes. Please give me a follow, and I would love to chat with you. I love chatting with people on Instagram. Send me a DM and let me know your thoughts on this episode. Let me know if you have, your own personal story. Like maybe you've tried keto before. I want to hear from you. But also I want to end with just a few things. So I do have my food noise fix freebie. I'm going to drop that into the show notes. It's a completely free guide. This is great. If you're someone that feels like you're constantly thinking about your next meal, maybe you're plagued with cravings and snack attacks, those types of things, you're going to want the food noise fix. So basically with this, it just makes nutrition really simple. You're just going to pick 2 to 3 things that is easy for you to do. This is going to be like a big dial mover that's going to help you toward your goals. And generally this is going to be something that you're already doing. But by just focusing on 2 to 3 things that are easy and enjoyable for you and effective to getting you to your goal, you're going to be able to just like let the other stuff go. So no more worried about how much carbs does this have, right? So if you guys want a copy of my food noise fix, this is something that I teach inside of Moderation 365. So this resource is completely free. I'm going to put the link to sign up. You get immediate access. And yes, this is going to put you on my email list, but you know what? If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. So no big deal. There's nothing to lose. If you don't like it, you can totally say bye. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But I love this tool. This is something, not only do I do this with my Moderation 365 clients, but I actually do this with everyone inside of Lean Physique. I still do it myself. It really just helps quiet that food noise and just focus on the things that are actually going to move the dial forward. So I will put that freebie into the show notes. I also want to announce I do have 2 spots open for Moderation 365. I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. This is my one-on-one coaching program. This is really for someone who is stuck in yo-yo dieting. So you might start the week out strong. You're like Monday, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back on track. I'm going to eat good this week. I'm going to, track my calories. I'm going to do all of these things. But then Thursday, Friday comes along, and then happy hour, and then you're completely off the rails. And then it's like off the rails all weekend long. Or this might even be like you might do well during the day, and then at the night, your willpower is just gone. And it might be like a night eating thing. So if you can relate to either of those situations, moderation might be a good fit for you. So inside of this 12-week program that you get forever access to, you're going to learn the skills of moderation and mindful eating that is really the building blocks of long-term fat loss. So if you guys are interested in that, shoot me an email. I'm going to put my email address into the show notes as well. You can just shoot me an email, and we will go over the process of Moderation 365, and you can apply and see if it's a good fit for you. So I would love for you to check that out, get some more info, and see if that's a good fit. So thanks so much for being here. I'm hoping I will be back here in just a couple of weeks. I do have a new glute growth guide. I am just now finishing up the final touches on that. So next episode might be a little bit more around fitness and building muscle, building great glutes in your 40s. So I'm really excited about that. But in the meantime, make sure that you follow me on Instagram, download the Food Noise Fix. And also, one more thing, if you're enjoying this podcast, please leave me a review. I am lagging some reviews, and I really need more because, guys, whenever you review this podcast, it really helps push this podcast out to the logarithm so more women can find me. And that's my goal. I want to help as many women who are struggling with things like yo-yo dieting, cravings, fat loss, and building muscle in perimenopause. So I would really appreciate if you would leave me a review. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Can't wait to hear from you. And I will see you in the next episode. All right. Bye for now.